So, what is up, everybody? Happy Saturday with my boy Joey Werk. You know, on a Saturday, what day it is. It's fight day. Couldn't be more excited. It's been a little while since we've had a pay-per-view show. Got a great 13 fight card. Excited to break it down. 3 5-round fights. Very, very excited, as you can tell. Usually, I'm not even really up on a Saturday this early, but I'm ready to go. Joined by Joey Werk, like I said. Before we get all into it, if you guys would hit the like and subscribe button for us on the bottom right, we do greatly appreciate it. We'll be giving winners, giving our information. So just a like and subscribe goes a long way. Joey Werk, I'll bring you in. Just a two-man booth, you and I today, but that's fine. You take care of the betting. I take care more of the DFS. How you feeling on this beautiful Saturday morning with some good fights ahead?
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about before, I feel like it's been over a month since we've done one of these shows. So I'm excited to get back here, sick card. I really like this card from an entertainment perspective here. Definitely stacked. Good work to the matchmakers, that's for sure. I'm pumped up, ready to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a great card for sure. Top to bottom. For me, it's a very favorite heavy card for me this week. We'll get into it, but I'm struggling to find some of the cheap dogs in DFS. Obviously, you need to play some cheap ones because we expect some big scores from the top tier, but we'll get into it. First of all, if you're not a member, RPS Heater 25 is the promo code. Get you 25% off your monthly subscription for your first month. And then if you guys aren't in the Tournament of Champions for the NFL we do every week, 1,000 people in it, not even 500 are in the Tournament Champions yet. We are giving away free money with DraftKings. The link is on the top of the playbook for the NFL. So just very, very easy. Click the button. It's free and you can win some money. So why wouldn't you join it? I love Saturdays right into free money Sundays. Very, very excited for a big weekend, but we'll get it kicked off. 13 fights, like I said, a lot of very good ones on a pay-per-view, high level fights, pretty much top to bottom. And the first one I expect to be a pretty good fight. Omar Moraes taking on Jonathan Pierce. I'm going to go with DraftKings Sportsbook. Their odds for everything that I talk about, obviously they vary from book to book, but we got Moraes coming in as a -145 favorite, Pierce at +125. Fight is +100 to go the distance. So it's a coin flip, whether it's going to see the judges or not. I think it's going to be a very good scrap. Joey, I'll go over to you. How do you see Omar Moraes and Jonathan Pierce?
Yeah, so I think Omar is, definitely the better striker of the two, but really how long until Pierce tries to attempt a takedown? Omar moves forward a lot, doesn't throw a lot of volume, but always moves forward. He sets up almost all of his attempts, definitely has a lot of power, obviously, behind those hands, and he's always sneaking and throwing his legs as well. As for Pierce, he is a great wrestler, pretty solid on the feet as well. He does have 8 knockout wins, but his track record of opponent skill is definitely in question. Before he entered the UFC, he's fought some ugly fighters. And with that said, he's finished 2 of his 3 fights in the UFC via knockout. So, he beat Jacob Rosales and Kai Kamara the third. I think this is one, really is a toss-up with a slight lean towards Omar Moraes. He is the bigger, more skilled of the two, in my opinion. I'm just afraid Pierce might go the wrestling route here. I did hear in an interview that he said, how do you stop a really good striker? By wrestling. So essentially, this is just a pass for me.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. It's pretty much a Clash of Styles striker versus wrestler, not necessarily a grappler, but yeah, definitely wrestler. The thing with Jonathan Pierce is his striking defense is absolutely terrible. He absorbs 6.54 significant strikes per minute, while Moraes isn't he throws less than 4 significant strikes per minute. Like you said, Pierce is going to be in his face all fights, so I expect more output from Moraes, but Pierce just comes forward relentlessly, chaining takedowns, and puts his cardio as his best weapon. I think Moraes has a chance to get him out in the first round with how hittable he is and while he is fresh, but the longer this fight goes, the more I do benefit Pierce for sure. On DraftKings, Moraes is 8,500, Pierce is 7,700. I do lean Pierce there. The wrestling and DraftKings, like we know, goes a long way with takedowns, with top control. He put up a 130 piece last fight against Kai Kamaka, so we know he does have a ceiling. I think Moraes is going to be pretty low owned. He's 8,500. He's sandwiched in between a Medic and a Volkanovsky, which are going to have some ownership too. So if you're making 20 lineups, making 150, I think you can do worse than a low owned Omar Moraes, because a first round knockout is definitely in the realm of possibilities. But I lean Pierce. I like the 800 saves that get you. I expect him to go to the wrestling game plan, because if he stands and bangs with Omar Moraes, he's going to get picked apart and probably eventually finish. So I'm excited for this fight. It's one I have interest in. DFS. It's in the mid tier. I am leaning the dog and Pierce a little bit with the price discount in the wrestling, but should be a very fun fight to kick off the card for sure. We'll go into the next fight. I talk about high level fights and stuff. This is the lowest level guy you'll ever see probably in the UFC at Martin Sano taking on Matthew Semelsberger. One of the funniest fights I even have to break down. It's crazy this is on the card, but we know why. Nick Diaz's buddy, Martin Sano. But Semelsberger coming in minus 525, Sano at plus 385 on the way back. This fight's minus 300 not to go, or the fight doesn't go to decision, minus 300. Semelsberger's minus 190 to finish inside the distance. Don't think it really takes a rocket scientist to predict this one, but I'll throw it over to you, Joey Werk. How do you see this?
Yeah, so I mean, this is definitely the biggest mismatch on the card. Semelsberger actually looked pretty good in his 3 UFC fights. You know, he gets a 4-2-1 Martin Sano, not Miguel Sano, but Martin Sano. You know, who the hell is Martin Sano, you ask? Well, he is Nick Diaz's main training partner. So I actually read that Diaz, one of the reporters sent out a tweet saying that Diaz said the only way he's coming back is if he gets Mr. Snow on the card. And look at it, he's on the card. So that's really the simple fact he's on this card. This guy's lost his last 3 fights, or he lost his last 2 when he has a draw in there. He did fight 1 with the PFL, 2 with Bellator. And I mean, if you go back and watch the tape, man, he looked bad in all those fights, even the draw. So, you know, even his last fight, his last fight was February 2017. So what is going on here? This is clearly, you know, just the Diaz is the only reason he's on this card. So Semelsberger, I think he's going to try to keep the standing, put Snow to sleep early. And I think he gets it done probably in the first round because he always moves forward. He's going to release his hand. And this is, you know, a chance for him to get a performance bonus. So I'm on Semelsberger by knockout minus 125. Also half unit on Semelsberger in round 1 plus 200 and round 2 plus 400.
I like it. I see it the same exact way as you. I mean, it just shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a fight. Imagine going from Chaos Williams to Martin Sano. Yeah, like you said, he hasn't fought in over 4 years. His last win was 7 years ago, which is absolutely crazy. I think Semelsberger about whatever he wants. First round knockout is how I see it. Absolutely love him in DFS at 9,400, but this is where like it gets so tough. We're going to talk about a lot of these upper price guys. Like Valentina Shevchenko is right there at 9,500 too, who's a huge favorite. Absolutely going to probably dominate Lauren Murphy. So like I'm expecting some big boy scores in the top tier, but Semelsberger, I think he might get a little overlooked. Like I said in the playbook, if this was like a card last week or a normal card, I mean, I'm locking him in 100% of lineups because I think it's as close as a lock as it gets in UFC. But like I said, 105 points might not be enough on this card. So easy fade for Sano. I like Semelsberger a lot for sure at 9,400. Like I said, a lot of high level fights on this card. This is by far the worst guy, the worst one, just because of him. So shouldn't be sanctioned. Easel Semelsberger lean on this one. Appreciate everyone in chat. Looking at chat right now, we got Jimmy B, Cesar Martinez, Andy Hoyman, Brandon Moore, Elliot Carney. Appreciate you guys all hanging out with us. Yeah, Brandon Moore. SO feeling another ship this week. It's been a great last 2 weeks for us over at Run Pier Sports. Like I said, if you haven't checked it out, RPS Heater 25. Brandon Moore shipped 17,000 last week. First and second in the big, I think it was $18 GPP. So congrats to you, Brandon Moore. I had a couple other first place shippers too. And yeah, like I said, if you're not at Run Pier Sports, I don't know what you're doing. Free money Sunday tomorrow. Great fights today. We got college football today too. Golf's going on, NASCAR, all the sports, you name it. We got it one price. So make sure to check it out. We'll go over to the next fight, which is a lower level fight, but it's one I'm excited for. Nick Maximov and Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage is coming in on short notice. On Wednesday, he got the car for Carl Roberson. He was supposed to fight on Contender Series on October 5th. So I'm not too worried as much as I am about some other short notice fights. He's been training. They both made weight. Maximov is making his UFC debut too. They both are. Maximov is coming off a Contender Series victory, fighting way up, guy way up his weight class at 260 pounds. He took that fight. So I'll go over to you, Joey Werk. The odds are pretty close. I see minus 120, plus 100, minus 150. The fight doesn't go to decision. So something I'm interested in DFS. How do you see this fight?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Brundage, a late replacement. So he did open at plus 275. He's got bet down a lot. I'm seeing the line now sitting at plus 110. So with that said, I think I personally missed the boat on Mr. Brundage, and I cannot make a bet on him, being that the line moved that much. I think he's probably the better two on the feet. And he's also a decent wrestler, but obviously Maximov is a JUCO All-American wrestler. Another guy out of a Diaz camp. Definitely questionable strength of opponents previously, but I think this is going to be a really good fight. Possibly, fight in the night. But essentially, I'm off this one. Lean towards the dog in Brundage, but as I mentioned, I missed the boat on the line, so I can't bet it at plus 110.
Yeah, I mean, it opened on Wednesday at minus 350, 275 for Maximov. Extremely interesting line. And you don't see very often a line get bought down that fast and settle pretty much at a pick 'em. Yesterday, I think it was minus 115, minus 105 for a little bit. Maximov got a little buyback. I agree with everything you said. I do give Cody Brundage the advantage on the feet. I think he's a little more well-rounded. Maximov is only 23 years old, so he's definitely still green, but he definitely has very, very good grappling. Brundage has good wrestling, like you said, and we've seen him try and chain takedowns in the past, but I'm not exactly sure if he's going to want to go to the mat with Maximov and play that game down there. I think he could maybe have a little success if he plays a position game, rack up some top control and stuff, but it's definitely dangerous down there with Maximov. This is a very close fight for me. It's one that I'm going to have both sides in for DFS for sure, because Maximov is only 8,000. Brundage is only 7,700. It's minus 150. It's one of the lower level fights we have on the card. So more lower level fights like that, people make a little more mistakes and you get a little more finishes. So if we get a finish for one of these price tags, I definitely will like it. I really don't have too strong of a lean. I said Brundage very slightly because of the $300 difference, because of all that line movement, because every fight starts on the feet, and I do give him a little advantage there. So I'll lean Brundage slightly, but it's one that I'll definitely have both of. Exciting fight for DFS for sure. Both guys making their UFC debut. See someone in chat, a couple people asking about like a cash question and stuff. I'm not going to give out all the premium content. I have core plays for cash. Someone in the cash question, one of those guys are tagged in on the core plays. So not going to give all the premium content out. You got to be a member for that. Keep it for the members, but make sure to go check out my playbook, check out my core plays, have all that information up on the site right now. Joey Werk has his bets up. Keg, I saw, has some bets up. So make sure you go check out Run Pure Bets as well. We'll go over to the next fight. One of my favorite fights on the card. If it wasn't for these 3 5-round fights, it's my favorite 3-round fight. Uros Medic taking on Jalen Turner. I mean, what an absolute banger we're going to have here. Minus 130 for Medic, plus 110 for Turner. This line opened at minus 185 for Medic back in August 23rd, I'm seeing. Turner got some buy. It was close to a pick 'em, and then Medic got a little buy back. Medic's downfall is just who he's fought. The level of competition's been awful. His last fight against Arlan Cruz, he's not even in the UFC anymore, and that was his best win. Just an absolute dominating performance. Didn't even absorb a significant strike. This fight's minus 225 to that it doesn't go to decision at DraftKings Sportsbook. So a fight I'm looking to target for sure. Close fight, Joey Werk. How do you see this one?
Yeah, so Uros has only got past the first round one time in his career. His gas tank, obviously somewhat in question just because of that, And his strength of schedule, as you mentioned, definitely another thing in question. He came over from Alaska FC, and we've seen fighters from that promotion particularly struggle in the UFC. But Medic's very strong boxer. These are two big boys, both 6 foot. Jalen Turner, the better of the two, probably in the wrestling and grappling end. And his striking is pretty good himself as well. I do give Uros Medic the upper hand there as well, though. And does Jalen try wrestling here? I do think if he starts to struggle on the feet, he may. And Medic's wrestling defense, another thing I'm not really fully sure about. He hasn't really been tested by a good wrestler yet. So I don't know. With that said, slight lean towards Medic. Definitely inside the distance if you're going to take him, because if he wins, he more than likely finishes that fight, and probably via TKO early. So I'm not totally against, taking some shots on round 1 and round 2 with Uros Medic. Otherwise, it's just a pass.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a couple things to note that I thought were important. Alaska FC, where Medic did come from, one of the worst promotions you'll find. They don't breed good fighters at all. Level of competition is awful. He's only been the second round once, like you said, which is a big concern. If this fight does get to the late second, early third, I'm very concerned of how his gas tank's going to look. Hasn't had his takedown defense really tested, and I think that's another concern. Jalen Turner could go to. Jalen Turner's not like a killer wrestler where he's just going to chain takedowns the whole time. So I expect it to be on the feet most of the time. If he's hurt, I think I could see a takedown for sure. And then I'd be a little worried for Medic, especially if he can't stuff the first takedown. He's in for some big trouble, I think. Turner has a 6-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage, which is a little concerning too. But Medic closes the distance really well. He's very explosive, has a bunch of power. So I'm not too worried about the reach advantages I would be in some fights that were more at distance. I think this is an absolute banger. I'm on the Medic train. I think his power, his speed, I think he does end up clipping Turner in the first. I think I'm going to call a first round knockout, but it's a close fight. I mean, it's minus 130, it's 110. Turner definitely does have path to victory. So it's another fight I would get both sides of. I mean, Medic is 8,400, Turner is 7,800. So 600 price difference. I expect on a card this tight with salary, I expect the ownership to be relatively similar. So take your guy you like more. If you have the money, I prefer Medic a little bit, but I'll have both sides. Going to be a really fun fight. Don't blink during the fight because it could be over at any moment for sure. Go over to the next fight. One I'm not very interested in DFS at least. Tyler Santos versus Roxanne Mata-Ferry. Big favor for Tyler Santos, minus 425 against 320. Fight's supposed to go to decision, plus 180 to end inside the distance. How do you see this fight, Joey?
Yeah, so I mean, Roxy's birthday was yesterday. She gets a nice gift of fighting Tyler Santos, the big Brazilian, obviously a force on her feet. And her first UFC loss to Mara Borella, she definitely came back and impressed me. You know, she got back-to-back wins over Molly McCann and Jillian Robinson, where she basically dominated both girls start to finish. But Roxy's definitely a tough bitch. You know, she normally continues to move forward. Obviously doesn't throw much power, but still continues to throw forward and throws. She has been fighting for a long time, so she's very skilled in almost all assets of MMA. I think this is a great litmus test, you know, for Tyler Santos. Is she really a top 10 fighter? I think we find out in this fight. With that all said, I do think Talia wins. I'm not laying minus 400, especially not in a female mixed martial arts event. She probably wins via decision, but again, that's juicy too. Almost minus 130 on her to win via decision. So I can't bet that either. So I'm just off this one. I'm going to enjoy it. Maybe Roxy gets a happy birthday victory, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if for DFS too, 9,300, there's so many killers in the top tier that are expected to finish. This is one of the few top tier fights that I actually can confidently fade. And I mean, like, I wouldn't be shocked if Tyler Santos got a finish, but that's definitely not the likely outcome. Roxanne Mata-Ferry's only been finished, 4 times in her 18 losses. She's all grit. She's all heart. I mean, one of the least athletic people I've ever seen make it very far in a sport, just due to her courage, her heart, her toughness. So good for Roxanne Mata-Ferry. If you've bet her every fight, she's a dog pretty much every fight, and she cashes as a lot of them. So if you've bet her, you're definitely up money throughout. Happy birthday, Roxanne, but it's a tough spot for you for sure. Going over to the next fight, and it's one I'm definitely excited for. We get a heavyweight banger, Chris Daukaus and Shamil Abdurakhimov. 8,800 for Daukaus, 7,400 for Abdurakhimov. We got minus 200 Daukaus, plus 170 Abdurakhimov. Minus 200, the fight doesn't go to the distance. I'll just throw it over to you, Joey Werk. A lot to talk about in this one. How do you see it going down?
So another birthday here. Happy birthday, Chris Daukaus. Today is actually his birthday. But this fight's finally happening, you know, 3rd time scheduled. Daukaus is looking for his 4th finish in his 4th UFC fight, all in the first round. He's very fast for a heavyweight, that's for sure. Always moves forward. I think he, you know, uses his boxing and his output really to starch people in that first round. And I know we really haven't seen it yet, but he is a very skilled wrestler and grappler as well. So he probably has the better gas tank of the two as well. As Shamil, he's almost 40 years old. He's 39, going to be 40 in a month. He's pulled out, or you know, hasn't had his last 4 fights have either been canceled or he's pulled out. So that's definitely, you know, a little question mark there. He's primarily a grappler. I think he'll try to get a takedown early because Chris is just so much faster and a better boxer of the two. But I think if this match stays standing, Shamil's going to get starched probably in round 1 or round 2. With that said, I'm on Daukaus in a parlay with the later fighter on the money line, and I'm also on Daukaus inside the distance plus 100.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I see it the same way. I mean, there's a lot of red flags for Shamil. He's 40 years old, which you don't like to see. He hasn't fought in about 2 years. He's been pulling out of multiple fights, like you said, the past couple times. I'm worried. I mean, that all three of those are not something you like to see in a fighter. Chris Daukaus, on the other hand, he quit his full-time job as a policeman to focus full-time on MMA. He looks to be in the prime of his career. I mean, he is very fast for the division. He's only 31 pounds, similar to Tom Aspinall, which I think if Daukaus wins this, I think that'd be a very good fight to see. But he's very quick. He has a lot of power in his hands. Very good. He moves very well on the feet. So I think the takedowns, I agree. Shamil should go for the takedowns. I expect him to. Daukaus has a black belt in BJJ. So we haven't seen him use it in the UFC. I hope he doesn't use it in this fight, but I don't expect him to be lost on the ground for sure. You don't want to be on the ground with Shamil on top of you, but I'd be curious to see how it does play out. I don't want to see it in this one, like I said, but he's definitely not a fish out of water on the mat, I don't think. On the feet, I expect him to have the massive speed advantage, the massive power advantage. He throws good volume. I think this is Chris Daukaus' fight all day. I like your inside the distance. I predicted another first round knockout in this one too. When Daukaus touches you and keeps throwing in waves, it's tough for the opponents. I don't like what I've seen from Shamil. So give me another Chris Daukaus first round knockout. I'm on the same page as you for sure. I did throw Daukaus in some of my parlays as well. So we're on the same page there. I do love to hear it.
Sweet. I see Uncle T's in the chat saying JJ's the GOAT. I don't know. Maybe he just woke up. Maybe, he had an edible or something, but JJ's not on the show, Uncle T. Thanks for showing up, though.
Uncle T, I mean, you getting into G Rising stash or what's going on?
What is going on?
I don't see JJ here. JJ definitely one of the GOATs, but hey, Joey Werk's the GOAT in MMA right here, breaking it down. Uncle T, you might be on the wrong show. I don't know what's going on, but we do appreciate you hanging out with us, like we appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Going to be a great night of fights for sure. 13 of them. Playbooks up, core plays up, RPS heater 25, Tournament of Champions link in the playbook for NFL tomorrow. Nothing better than parlaying your MMA winnings and a free money Sunday tomorrow. It's going to be a great weekend. We'll go over to the next fight, though. One I'm absolutely excited to see. Wasn't sure we were going to get it all week with Dan Hooker and Nasrat Haqparast. They had some visa issues. They both made weight, very professional. Going to be an absolute banger, I think. Minus 150 for Dan Hooker, minus 155. I see now plus 135 coming on the way back for Nasrat. Minus 135. The fight doesn't go to decision. One of the more competitive fights on this card. A lot of wide lines on this one. This one's competitive. How do you see this one going down?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, every time Dan Hooker fights, it is like a circus to get into the United States, to get out. I know
he's about to move. It sounds like he's relocating to the U.S. full time. It sounds like
good. Because I remember last time, even after the fight, he lost, and he had to wait like almost a month in a hotel where he only, he had to go to a fence to see his daughter.
It was awful.
Oh my goodness!
Police have been chasing him around when he's trying to train. I guess it's a whole mess, and he's just. It sounds like I was listening to him yesterday. He's moving his whole camp and other guys to from New Zealand to the U.S., which is good to hear for him.
Yeah, good for him. Smart too. So I think Dan gets a little step down in competition, in my opinion. I think he has the advantage in almost all categories. Better grappler, wrestler, and boxer, the two, and more durable. Yeah, I know he did get starched his last fight, but everybody gets starched once in a while. You could get hit one time and go down. I'm throwing that one out. I'm very surprised to see that happen again, especially here. I think he tries to keep it a distance, turns this into a kickboxing match, uses kicks, elbows, striking to win this fight. As I said, this is a step down for Dan, I think, but this is a big step up for Nasrat. Listening to the names of wins he has in the UFC: Rafa Garcia, Alex Munoz, Joaquin Silva, Tybolt Gotti, and Mark DeCasey. The most household name there is Mark DeCasey, and we know he's nothing really special. So if Nasrat can turn this into a wrestling match, he can have success, but I'm not sure he's fully committed to going that route. So I do think Dan Hooker wins this fight, and at minus 140, I'm not crazy about the number, but I'm fine with taking Dan on the money line.
I agree again with you. It's like you read the playbook. I said the first thing that pretty much stuck out to me was just the level of competition with Dan Hooker taking a massive step down, Nasrat taking a massive step up. I mean, you listen to these names, the last 7 fights for Hooker: Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Paul Felder, Alaquinta, James Vick, Edson Barbosa, Gilbert Burns. Like, those are straight killers. Yeah, the best of the best. Straight killers. I mean, Dustin Poirier, he went 25 minutes in one of the best fights I've ever seen. Anyone toe-to-toe for him. I mean, it was an absolute banger. Nazaret's, I looked at Nazaret's fight. His UFC debut was 7 fights ago when Hooker was fighting Gilbert Burns against Marcin Held, who Nazaret lost the decision. That was Held's last fight in the UFC. And then, yeah, Rafa Garcia, Nazaret's last win. And what did we see about Rafa Garcia last time? He might be a fraud against Chris Grutzmacher. It's just not even in the same ballpark for who these guys have been fighting. Hooker's been there. He's done that. I think Hooker has the advantage everywhere too. I think there's value in the sign at -150. I bet it a little earlier, -145. I think I got, but I like Hooker in this fight too. I think he bounces back, like you said. Brutal knockout to Michael Chandler, but Michael Chandler's another level above Nasrat, obviously, as he just fought for the belt. He had to worry more about the wrestling with Chandler too, which I think did hurt him a little bit. So I'm with you on Dan Hooker. He's 8,700, Nazaret 7,500. This is where it gets interesting in DFS because the line is so close, because the value sucks so much. I think Nazaret's going to be one of the more popular dogs. Once you get below 7,500, you're looking at plus 200 underdogs, which is, I mean, it gets kind of tough, especially for me who likes a lot of favorites. So I'm going to have Nazaret in my pool. I think he's over-owned in the tournaments just because of the lack of dogs. I like taking a shot at a really low-owned Hooker. It's -135 to end inside the distance. I mean, Hooker throws good volume. When he hits you, he can hit you in combinations. So both these guys just got to Vegas on Thursday, had to cut their weight on the plane. So who knows if their durability is taking a little hit. I think Hooker inside the distance and at DFS, 8,700, low-owned. I think you can do a lot worse than that for sure. The last thing I will mention, I'm not going to read into it too much, but Nazaret's mom did pass away a couple weeks ago. Obviously, sucks for him. Prayers to him and his family. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to like look into it too much, and I don't know how I'd react to that news. But some people like to hear it. I always will put out that information. He's going to be fighting for something obviously bigger than him, but I'm not going to do too much with that information. Do how you please. I have Hooker in this fight, -150. I think there's a little value, like you said. Should be a very, very fun fight, though. I expect it to be on the feet and striking majority of the time. Going over to the next fight, always an exciting fighter I like to see. Merab Dvalishvili back in the octagon, taking on Marlon Moraes. Talking about steps up in competition. Merab's taking a big step up in competition for Marlon Moraes. Can't really say Moraes has taken a step down because I think Merab deserves where he's at right now for sure. I'll throw it all over to you right away though. -260 with Dval, +210 for Marlon Moraes, +130. This fight doesn't go to decision. How do you see this fight?
I mean, no respect for Marlon from anyone in this fight. Merab is good, but as you mentioned, this is like the stepping stone of his career. He hasn't really beat anyone in the top 15. His best wins are versus some good competition. Don't get me wrong. Casey Kenny, John Dodson, Cody Stamen are like the best people he's fought. But Marlon has been fighting the best in the world for 5+ years. He does have a lot of tread on those tires, which is kind of scary, as he fought in the PFL for years and defended his belt 5 straight times. Those were all 5-round fights. He did finish most before, getting into the 5th round, but, late in his career, now in question is his cardio and his gas tank. As we've seen, he's had some trouble with it, especially as of late. But he has phenomenal boxing, great stand-up. As for Merab, you know what he's going to do. He's going to wrestle, rarely a finisher. He'll strike with you to set up the wrestling. Question is, can Merab continue to get this fight to the ground? I think he does have some success here. The longer this fight goes, obviously the better for Merab as well, as he has the better gas tank of the two. But these odds are crazy. If Marlon keeps this fight standing, I see he could finish Merab. Merab can't get starched on one punch like Dan Hooker got starched. It can easily happen. So personally, I'm on Marlon Moraes +210 here, and I do have a half unit on. Fight doesn't go to the distance, +140. So I am hoping that, Merab has heard all the doubters, and if he is winning the fight, he gets a late finish. Otherwise, I'm going to be rooting for Marlon.
Ooh, I like that, Joey. You got to have dogs on this card for sure. I have Moraes tagged as a 7,300. I have him tagged as a GPP play as well. I don't think he's going to get too much ownership. Again, you said it perfect. Moraes' last fights that he's been fighting: Rob Font, Corey Sandhagen, Jose Aldo, Henry Cejudo, Rafael Santos, Jimmy Rivera, Aljamain Sterling. Just like we talked about last fight. I mean, he's fighting the top of the top. Whereas you go to Merab, Cody Stamen, where do I have him? Cody Stamen, John Dodson, Gustavo Lopez. definitely a way different level in competition. I will say Merab has handled all those guys. He's absolutely dominated his takedowns. He's a DFS printer, 7.38 takedowns per 15 minutes. The guy is just relentless. He has cardio for days. I think Moraes needs to get this done in the first round. While Moraes has been fighting the best of the best, he also does have a lot of wear on those tires, like you said. I think he's a little out of his prime. Maybe took a little step back. He's still a hell of a fighter, but I mean, he was fighting for the title 2 years ago against Henry Cejudo. So a step down, a little step back isn't very big for him. I mean, he's still a very, very good fighter. We've seen him gas a little bit, which is a concern for me, especially with Merab's pace he puts on. I think if this fight does get out of the first round, Moraes could struggle and then Merab take over. But in that first round, I mean, on the feet, Moraes definitely has the advantage. He hits very hard. He can definitely put Merab away. I mean, I think this line is maybe a little wide. People just have seen Merab be so dominant where they just don't expect him to lose it all. But anyone can, like Hooker, like you said with Hooker, that one shot just put him out. Anyone can get put out for sure, especially by Marlon Moraes. As far as Dvalishvili, though, I like him a lot at 8,900 for DFS. You look at these DFS scores, he said 148. 135, 129, 124. All of those were by decision as well. You don't see that in DFS ever outside of pretty much Merab in 3 rounds too. So if he's going to win this fight, he's going to get a bunch of takedowns. He's going to get some top control. He's going to score very well. So I like Merab. But yeah, Marlon, I mean, we need dogs that are live. I'm really happy that you're on Moraes a little bit, that you think there's value there. 7,300. He's live for a first round knockout. And if he gets that, he's definitely going to break the slate and be on the optimal. So I like this fight both ways. I lean Merab. Obviously, that's not a hot take with the odds and stuff. I think he can survive a little early. He can use his cardio and end up breaking them. But very, very fun fight. Moraes in the first round or Merab late is how I see it. Good fight for DFS for sure, though. Going over the next fight, Jessica Andrade, Cynthia Calvillo. 9,000 for Andrade, 7,200 for Calvillo. I see on DraftKings Sportsbook -225, +185 with Andrade as a favorite. Fight doesn't go the distance, +110. The line's been bouncing around a little bit. I mean, I see a lot. If you look at PointsBet or Bet Rivers, they got this fight at -265, 200. So this line is varying a lot based on where you look. How do you see this fight, Joey?
Yeah, so I mean, Andrade is so much stronger here, bigger. She's looked amazing as of late. I know she hasn't won like 3 of her last 4 she's lost, but I mean, they were the best girls in the weight class. Not even a question. This is a huge step up for Cynthia Calvillo. She just got out wrestled by my girl Caitlin Chukagian. So I think this fight more than likely stays standing, and Andrade gets a finish probably round 1, round 2. Early. So I am already on Jessica Andrade with a parlay, moneyline parlay with Chris Daukaus. I'm also going to be on Andrade round 1, round 2, and round 3. I mean, you could get round 1 plus 650, round 2 plus 750, round 3 plus 750. Split that a third of a unit on all of those, and you make money if she finishes her. And I really do think she finishes her. Andrade hasn't, she's had one decision. I think it was versus who was it versus? It was versus Nami Yunus, Rose. Otherwise, every fight has been finished, either win or loss has been finished before they got to the belt in the last 5 years. So I think Andrade is just way better here, and I think she starches her.
Yeah, I mean, she has a very impressive 71% finish rate, which you don't see very often. She's very, very powerful. She throws good volume, 6.15 significant strikes she lands per minute. Chukagian was Calvillo's last fight. Andrade did beat Chukagian, your girl, in the first round from body shot. So if you're on that theory, we'll get to the main event, but another theory I don't believe in. If this fighter beats someone that you lost to, then you go with that, blah, blah, blah. But I do bring it up. Andrade has beat Chukagian, whereas Calvillo has lost. I agree with you. I think this is Andrade's fight. My one concern is, do you think Calvillo could have success if she gets a takedown and has top control? I think Andrade is too explosive and powerful, where I don't think she'd be controlled down there. But that's the one path I do see for Calvillo. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't think she's strong enough to keep her down. She might get her down, But Andrade is such a badass that I think she works her way back up, and she keeps her down for at most a minute. I think she gets back up, and then eventually they're back standing, and some bad things are going to happen to Calvillo if they're back standing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I definitely I would rather take a shot on Moraes as a dog and stuff. I don't think Calvillo gets it done. She definitely don't see her finishing Andrade, but if you're playing Calvillo in a lower tier, you're not necessarily going to need a finish today. You want any win down there, but I'm with you. I think Andrade gets it done. The question is by finish or by decision. I'm leaning finish a little bit as well. I think it's really close though. You definitely will need a finish for 9,000. I think she gets a little overlooked in the upper tier though, with so many other killers. The fight, a coin flip pretty much to go to decision. So I'm with you on Andrade though. I think she does get it done. I do like your parlay for sure. Getting into the next fight, another big boy fight, Curtis Blaydes and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. A very similar fight to what Curtis Blaydes just had against Derek Lewis. Jairzinho Rozenstruik has the one death touch knockout power. Minus 335 for Blaydes, plus 260 for Jairzinho. It's fight minus 190. Fight doesn't go to decision. Joey Werk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this one, quite easy, I guess. Curtis get this to the ground or chain takedowns? I actually think he probably does. I think you learn from the Derek Lewis loss. He'll step up his takedowns, grind on Rozenstruik, use, his jiu-jitsu and whatnot, and more than likely get a somewhat, maybe a finish, maybe a submission finish once he's on the ground. Obviously, Rozenstruik is always live for a knockout. Definitely the stronger of the two, heavier of the hands. He can knock anybody out with, 5 seconds left, as we've seen him do in a previous fight. But, I just think Curtis won't allow that to happen. I think he's learned. He's going to play a very strategic fight here, probably win via either decision or get a sub from the ground. And I think Curtis just gets the job done. With at the line, I'm personally off the fight because I'm not going to lay minus almost 300 with Curtis Blaydes. With any heavyweight, I'm not going to lay minus 300. So essentially I'm off the fight, but that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, this one, like I said, very similar to the last one. We know the game plans. Blaydes is going to be looking for the takedowns. Jairzinho doesn't throw much volume, but similar to Derek Lewis, I mean, they lose the fight until they're winning the fight with their one punch. Yes, Jairzinho can catch him in for the takedown like Derek Lewis did with the uppercut. I think Jairzinho's live. He's always live. 7,000. I'll get a little. I don't love him for sure. I lean Curtis Blaydes. I think he avoids the one shot more than likely. I like the plus 110. I see there's plus 130 actually on 5 dimes. Blaydes inside the distance. I think if he gets Jairzinho on the ground, Jairzinho is pretty lost on his back. Blaydes is a very high level wrestler, throws nasty elbows and ground and pound as well. I mean, finishing Alistair Overeem is no joke down on the mat. And Jairzinho is definitely not Alistair Overeem. So I think Blaydes, if he gets the takedowns, especially if he gets one early, it's going to be a long night for Jairzinho. If it's on the feet though, Jairzinho is definitely live and on a card with a lot of dogs that I don't like a lot. I'm going to take a shot on Jairzinho in a little bit, but give me Blaydes. I think Blaydes inside the distance is the most likely outcome. And if I'm getting plus money, plus 130, I think there's some value on that. So, and then DFS wise, you get some takedowns, you get top control of Curtis Blaydes, and you get a lot of ground and pound and get some significant strikes. So he can score very, very well. Another fighter I think is going to get overlooked at 9,200, like with Semelsberger, with Valentina, with some other guys up there. So I think he's very, very interesting and low owned if you do have the money for him. Going over to the next fight, the people's main event. Everybody's very excited to see Nick Diaz back in the octagon. This one is a 5-round fight taking on Robbie Lawler. Fight was supposed to be at 170, is now at 185. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the interview with Nick Diaz. Doesn't really want to fight. I mean, he doesn't want to fight at all, but he just says that's what he does. That's what he has to do. A lot of red flags, it seems, coming in for Nick Diaz. It was a coin flip fight. Now we're seeing Robbie Lawler sitting at minus 155, minus 160 to Diaz plus 140. This fight is now supposed to end inside the distance. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 115, opened at plus 130. A lot of people have been on Lawler since for this fight weekend, what they've seen from Diaz, what they've heard from him. What are your thoughts, Joey?
I mean, Diaz hasn't fought in 6 years? I mean, I don't know how anyone really can bet on a guy we haven't seen in the cage for 6 years. I personally can't. And his interviews this week have only pushed me farther away from him. I mean, the direct quote, I don't know why I'm doing this. This should not happen. Whoever set this fight up is an idiot. I mean, what are we doing? He also made a last minute, well, like earlier in the week, maybe 3 days ago, made a decision. He don't want to cut to 170, so they're fighting at 185. I mean, I know Robbie has lost 4 straight fights, hasn't looked the best as of late, but this is a Robbie Lawler spot or nothing for me. He's very durable, went the distance in 3 of those 4 fights, including 2 5-rounders, one versus Colby Covington and Rafael Dos Santos. So, you know, he's fighting good competition as well. End of the day, it's Lawler pass here. I haven't made a move, but I may make a move on Robbie.
Yeah, I'm with you. I ended up betting Robbie. I think I got him at minus 130 on Wednesday. I wasn't going to bet this fight, but everything I've seen from Diaz, hey, he's always been game in his career. So could he come out? I mean, we saw what his brother did with Leon Edwards, where he was as tough as nails as he always is, stood in there and absolutely rocked Leon at the end. Only needed a little more time. He could have finished that fight too. So Diaz brothers are always game. I wouldn't count them out. But if Nick came in and showed something, I wouldn't be surprised. But like you said, I think Robbie Lawler is the move in this. I hate everything I'm hearing from Nick Diaz. It's 5 rounds. So the big question, how do you see this fight? It's minus 115 to end inside the distance right now. I don't think this is going to be a very high paced fight. So if it goes to decision, I think it could be a lower scoring fight for DFS. 8,300, 7,900. They're going to get some ownership for sure because it is 5 rounds, but a decision could be a low scoring and a lot of people get burned. How do you see this fight? Do you think it goes to decision or inside the distance?
I didn't realize it was a 5-round fight. With that said, I mean, the longer it goes, I would just imagine that Diaz doesn't have a great gas tank, not being in a cage in 6 years, token on a lot of Mary Jane as well. So I think probably Lawler maybe gets a finish late. Definitely, you know, interesting to see what is the over. Like you can get over 3.5 round over. Oh wow.
Over 4.5 minus 125, over 3.5 minus 152. I'm seeing these on 5 dimes.
Yeah, over 4.5 is essentially almost going the full distance. So I'm not really interested in that. I really don't think it goes a full 5 rounds. That's 25 minutes. You think Diaz can hang in there for 25 minutes? I personally don't, but I'm not going to bet on it. That'll just be a watch and enjoy.
Yeah, I think Lawler's going to definitely be very popular. He's 8,300. I like him for sure. Now his inside the distance numbers have came down a lot from Diaz. Diaz has always been known for his very good cardio, but that's back when he was doing triathlons, when he was training a lot. Now, like you see on his Instagram story, he loves to party. Who knows how much he's been training and how hard he has been training. So I don't know what the gas tank's going to look at as well. I'm with you. I think it's Lawler. I think it's got to be Lawler in this one. Don't have a strong lean on decision or inside the distance, but it's a fight I'm definitely not going to have 100% to, because if it is decision, I think it can definitely be one of the, not low scoring, but maybe at 80, 84, something around there on DraftKings, which might not be enough, especially on a card like this. So I'm with you though. I think it is Lawler. Going to the next fight, one that I think is pretty clear cut, and that is not a contrarian take at all. Valentina, one of the best to ever do it. Any division, male, female, you name it. She's back. Minus 1,500, taking on Lauren Murphy plus 850. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 250. Valentina inside the distance, minus 225. Valentina by whatever she wants for me. Take it, you see it the same way.
I mean, I can't believe we're saying these two names are matched up here. Lauren Murphy versus Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, crazy. I'm not really sure what Lauren Murphy did to get a title shot, but congrats to her. I just guess Valentina ran through everybody else, so it's a different name to get in front of her. But, I mean, Lauren is a tough girl. Don't get me wrong. We've seen a lot of Valentina playing with their food as of late, you can say. So she's very technical, trying not to get into uncomfortable positions. And she should win this fight easily. She's definitely a stronger of the two, better boxing, kickboxing, grappling. I mean, I do think Lauren can stay in there longer than expected, though. She probably leaves the octagon looking like, a character from The Hills Have Eyes or something, but she more than likely extends the fight, gets this into, maybe the 3rd, 4th round. So with that said, my guy Keg is definitely on the sharp side here. He took the over 1.5 rounds. And I really like that look. I think that's a sharp round. And now it's already up to minus 200, but he got a great line on that. You could even take over 2.5 if you're, minus 110 over 2.5, but over 1.5 was really what I prefer. Obviously, I wouldn't lay the 2-1 now, but he beat the line movement there. Essentially, that's the only look here. I'm not. If you want to take a plus 1,000, I'm seeing plus 980 at FanDuel on Lauren Murphy. If you want to, close your eyes, put some money on, I'm not against it because no way in hell am I laying minus 1,500 with Valentina Shevchenko. She obviously more than likely gets the job done. That's why the odds are like that. But essentially, this is just probably a pass for me.
Yeah, the books are definitely daring you to bet or Lauren Murphy for sure.
True.
What did Keg get that over 1.5? I'm seeing minus 210 now. I don't think you can bet minus 210. I mean, you can't. The value is definitely not there. I wouldn't be shocked to see a Valentina around 1. I mean, she absolutely schooled Andrade, but yeah, what did he get? Do you know?
I want to say he got it at like minus 140.
Wow.
Let me just double check.
Another one of the reasons to be a Run Pure Bets member, getting in. I mean, very good CLV on that one. Minus 210 now, minus 140. You definitely will take that
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, while you're looking, it's not. I was just wondering. I mean,
no, he has over 2.5 rounds on there. I'm sorry, my mistake. He has over 2.5, minus 110.
All right. So yeah, he's still it's sitting at about minus 130 right now. I think this fight, I personally am not going to bet that. I mean, Valentina, we know how good she is. Lauren Murphy is tough though. So at the end of the day, Valentina for DFS, 9,500, Lauren Murphy, 6,700. I'm not going to have any Lauren Murphy. Again, she'll probably be 4%, whatever, but I'll let those people, what I hope to pay the rake. I don't see Valentina losing this one. And if you like big boy scores, Valentina is going to give you a big boy score. So it's all about roster construction. If 9,500, if other people like 8,900 from Rob and 8,800 Daukaus and stuff, they're only going to get you 85 and Valentina gets you 125, then you're going to probably need Valentina. But if Daukaus and Rob are getting you 105 and Valentina gets you 118, you might not need that 9,500 price tag because of the savings, and the dogs go a long way. So Valentina's more of a roster construction play. You know what you're going to get from her. It's going to be a big score. Going into the main event, it's going to be a very, very good one. I don't think enough hype's getting built around it, obviously with Diaz returning and stuff. I mean, this is just going to be a very high-level mixed martial arts war, I think. T-City, Brian Ortega, Alexander Volkanovski for the featherweight strap. Right now, I'm seeing minus 190 on DraftKings, Volkanovski, plus 160 Ortega. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 110. And if you're trying to bet this fight, I would definitely shop around a little bit. FanDuel, it's minus 178 to plus 150. So depending on the book, the numbers are a little different, but it's going to be a hell of a fight, I think. How do you see this one?
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be fun. I'm going to definitely watch and enjoy this one. Probably not make a bet on it. Volk arguably, has lost his last 2 fights to Max Holloway, but either way, they're very, very good fights, and he is a very skilled fighter in all aspects of mixed martial arts. He can take you down, get roped into a boxing match. He always switches stances, throws his legs as well, and he's very good defensively. Has a pretty damn good gas tank as well. So I think Ortega has continued to get better and better, and probably the better of the two in jiu-jitsu here. If he starts to get beating up on the feet, I do expect him to try to get this one to the ground. I'm just not sure, how much success he can get there. I don't see him really keeping Volkanovski down. And I'm not even sure he can have success getting this fight to the ground. So I think it'll be more of a stand-up match. And both guys very skilled in the stand-up, don't get me wrong. But I think Volk is probably slightly better of the two. So as I said, I'm just going to watch and enjoy this one. But I have a slightly lean towards the champ, Alexander Volkanovski.
Yeah, I mean, I think this fight's very tough. Volkanovski. So I looking at the striking numbers and stuff. Volkanovski lands 6.02 significant strikes per minute and only absorbs 3.31 for a positive 2.71 significant strikes per minute. That's absolutely insane, especially you fought Max Holloway twice, and he's fought very good guys. Whereas you look at Ortega, he lands 4.29 significant strikes while absorbing 6.28. Obviously, that absorbed number, 6.28, is a little skewed because Holloway he did him dirty. Definitely gave him one of the worst beatings you'll see. Doctor had to stop it. But Ortega came back and looked like a new man against Zombie. His striking was very, very clean, just absolutely dominated him. There's levels to this, I think. I don't know. I lean Volkanovski. We've seen him. I mean, he's 22-1. He's 9-0 in the UFC. I get a lot of people, they always try to find the underdog. I think Ortega is definitely live. I'm going to have both sides of it, but I'm going to have more Volkanovski for sure. I just think he beats up the legs early. Volkanovski throws nasty light kicks. He has very good striking. I think it's a fun fight. I don't think Ortega can have success getting the takedowns on Volkanovski. If he can, this fight would be close to a pick 'em, I think. If you think he can get the takedowns and have success and keep him on the ground, Ortega definitely is probably the side, but I don't think he can do that. I think if anything, Volkanovski can get the takedowns. Does he want to is the thing. I mean, Ortega's got next level BJJ, so I'm not sure if Volkanovski is going to use his takedowns too much. Maybe he can go position over submission and get himself into a bad spot. If he just wants to lay a little bit and be safe, take rounds and minutes that way, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think it's mainly on the feet. I think Volkanovski, you look at you expect the height difference and the reach difference to be pretty insane, but Volkanovski still has a 2-inch reach advantage in this one, while Ortega has the height advantage. So I'm not looking at the height and reach too much. I think it's pretty much a wash. I think Volkanovski at the end of the day, I think it's, and still, I see a lot of people in chat on the T-City side. Yeah, I think it's a good fight. I'm glad I see a lot of people on both. I mean, you go around the industry, I see a lot of people on Ortega. I see a lot of people on Volkanovski. I think it's pretty split. I think it's just going to be a hell of a fight. I'm not betting it. I'm going to have both sides do it. Going to have more Volkanovski on DFS, but I think the ownership will be relatively close because it is 8,600. It is 7,600. That 1,000 goes a long way in DFS with how many favorites I like on this card and a lot of people like. So maybe Ortega comes in basically the same. At the end of the day, I think if you like Volkanovski, you play more Volkanovski. If you like more Ortega, you play more Ortega. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to enjoy it. I think it's very high level mixed martial arts in a fight that is going to be an absolute war and deliver. So that's how I see it. Very fun, Joey, breaking down all these cards. Any last minute thoughts? And how are you going to enjoy watching these fights tonight?
Yeah, I'm just going to chill. I just got back from California, so I'm going to relax and just watch, enjoy them with my brother. I actually might be hopping on the show with Keg tonight. So if you're Rump Your Best subscriber, we'll be live, obviously live betting all the fights, making you guys some money. But I'm excited. Another pay-per-view event. Haven't had one in a while. And as I mentioned up front, this card is stacked. A lot of good fights from top to bottom. So I'm going to be tuned in, excited to go.
Yeah, definitely going to be a very fun card. 10 of the 13 fights are expected to end inside the distance. I'm expecting a lot of blood. I'm expecting a lot of big DFS scores. And it's very tricky because I like a lot of the favorites. Got to mix in some dogs, though, if you're going to go more of a mid-tier build and fade Valentina and stuff. A lot of decisions. I have the playbook up and how I'm mainly approaching it over at Run Pure Sports. RPS Heater 25. Can get all that checked out. 25% off your monthly subscription. And then for NFL, everyone plays NFL. Make sure you get in the Tournament of Champions link. It's on top of the playbook. Not even half filled yet. It's free to enter. Giving away money. DraftKings giving away tickets as well. So make sure you do get into that. And if you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button for us. We do greatly appreciate it. It was fun talking some fights with you, Joey. Haven't had a pay-per-view in a little while, but we have a couple more pay-per-views coming up before the end of the year. A lot of very good cards. And I'm looking to stay hot. It's been a good last couple of weeks. A lot of big members hits. Run Pure Bets has absolutely been crushing it. So excited to keep it going and hope UFC 266 is the same. We appreciate everyone hanging out for us on this Saturday morning. Like I said, check out Run Pure Sports. These fights are going to be awesome. NASCAR, golf, MMA, NFL, college football, big weekend in sports. Make sure you get some action. And thank you for hanging out with us. For Joey Werk, myself, Titletown, we're out of here. Good luck, everybody.
Peace.